Here's a timeline of my series. 1915 to 1915 to 1945. So, the railway was being constructed. It loaned 4 engines, 2 from the LBSCR for a Caledonian Railway Class 812, a Furness Railway, which was close by, K2, and an engine loaned from the GNR, Emily. Edward and Emily were 2 express engines, and Donald Douglas twins were goods engines. They worked in the LBSCR for a long time since they were built. But their original names were Tim and Jim. But their names were soon changed. But it wasn't the end, because later that year, a blue tank engine named Thomas came right down to their railway. Was an E2. Soon the work was completed in 1918, and the war had ended. The LBSCR didn't need Thomas, so that's why he escaped. Donald and Douglas were bought from the LBSCR. They didn't need them anymore. They got 2 new goods engines. They bought Edward, who had horse steaming, which would be picked at Clovenskate, and Emily wasn't needed as she was deemed too old. The 5 engines were bought, and Edward was sent to Clovenskate to be fixed. And while that, they had run out of red paint and painted him, and instead Edward was repainted blue as we know him today. Puffed out the works a different engine modified K2, the closed cab instead of an open cab. In 1922, the last engine was sent off. Although they did have 5 engines, most of them were old and needed repairs, so he loaned on 1 engine named Henry. He was a poor steamer. Later that year came 2 more engines. And later, 1923, came June. Alfred and Aitken 546 and they were well received. But later, Henry refused to go out of the tunnel and was stuck in it. Meanwhile, a new engine, a new engine named Gordon, and came racing over the Bickerstown Bridge and on to Sodal. His name was Gordon, and he was to pull the express. Henry was stuck in the tunnel. Donald and Douglas, though, had an accident shortly after, and it was a bad one. Donald's tender backed into Knapford, and Douglas was coupled on. Knapford was damaged, as well as Donald. Donald had to go to the works, which was bad news for the Pack Controller. Voila. It was almost painted blue. It decided black would stay on Donald. And so he was gone. Wow. Edward got out of the shed after being stuck in there for a long time and raced out. He was glad to be let out, but a new engine had to do other work. There's no other available than an outline in our class 28. After accident with some wooden brakes and cars, Thomas saved him. James got rebuilt with a Lancashire and Yorkshire engine that came, and Thomas was given a branch line. And two old branch line coaches used to go on the express named Annie and Clara, who stuck on Thomas's branch line ever since. Soon Donald came home with a new tender. Later in 1925 and in 1926, strike began with James Henry and Gordon, and so a new engine was ordered. The new engine was purchased, and he sped down the line as a new shunter. While the engines were shut up in the shed, Alfred and Easton 546 were getting hard to maintain. Donald and Douglas ran Henry's goods train. Alfred ran the express, and Emily ran James's train. But soon the Great Depression began in 1929, affected Soda severely. And to keep up finances, Alfred and Easton 546% away. But as Henry, Gordon, and James had been let out, they still needed another engine, and they had to send the two off as they were only loaned. Had many more engines. Now, number 5, James. Number 9 and 10, Donald and Douglas. Number 1, Thomas. Number 2, Edward. Number 3, Henry. Number 4, Gordon. And number 6, Percy. So also Emily to keep operations. Soon, 1934 began. The Flying Scotsman ran a trip. And in 1935, boy, it was a tough one. Henry. Well, let's get into that. Flying Scotsman ran the record in 1934. We know, and in 1935 was the Northwestern Railway's 20th anniversary. To celebrate, they got Thomas, Donald, Douglas, Emily, and Edward all to join. a big cavalcade around the island for the 20th anniversary. That almost was canceled due to Great Depression, but they managed to carry on. Soon the cavalcade was off out of the station. Also, Henry had a massive crash, getting him to be rebuilt. He came back in spring of 1936. By the way, 1936, a new engine was being built. By the way, in 1936, a new engine was being built. The small engine, and the engine was scrapped shortly after. In 1939, the Second World War, Thomas had a career accident in 1940, rumbling down the mountain. He was turned into a J-50. He came back from the repair shop in 1942 as Barrel Blitz began. And Brenham Blast was in full action. It exploded around 6 a.m. on June 7th. The security cameras were smashed, so no one knew who the suspect was. They believe it was a certain German man. The new Thomas helped to bring workmen to the site of the accident. And soon, Brenham Docks was rebuilt. In 1945, the first railway series sorted. Now that was all in my timeline. I hope you enjoyed this video. Yeah. Subscribe and leave a like. And please watch. I think you're already watching because you watched this. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, bye. But I don't sound like a baby now.